So it's visible now?
Yes, Praveen sir, it is visible. So around 35 people have joined in. We have couple of minutes.
Okay.
Can expect a very healthy turnout as we start the webinar. So we'll be starting in next couple of minutes. Welcome, Puneet sir.
Yes, dear.
Sir, your audio is slightly on the lower side.
Let me check. Thank you.
Praveen sir, is my audio okay?
How is it now, Janak?
Yes, now it is perfect.
Wonderful.
My audio is okay?
Absolutely. You are super clear.
Yeah, thank you. So Praveen sir, quite a few members have joined. Puneet sir, Praveen sir. Can we begin the session?
Just 2 minutes.
Yeah, let me know once you're ready.
I'm fine, Janak. We can start.
Sure, sir. We'll
Whenever
wait.
Praveen sir says yes.
Yes, we can start.
Sure. Thank you for the confirmation, Praveen sir, Puneet sir. We'll begin. So, welcome everyone. Welcome fellow chartered accountants, tax practitioners, and the fraternity who is really keen on the developments that happen in the indirect taxation world. And very recently, we had latest 56th latest GST council meeting that had certain updates. And we as a company Tally and team Praveen Sharma and Puneet Mehta thought this provides us with a very interesting opportunity to share with you key takeaways. And for that, today we have on our forum CA Praveen Sharma, who is a practicing CA from last 14 years, qualified LLB in 2014, GST trainer, and a forensic auditor with ICI. So he specializes in anti-money laundering. He is also a co-founder for Text for Wealth and GST Mitra. So welcome, Praveen sir, and thank you for doing this with us. Along with him, we also have CA Puneet Mehta, who is a Tally evangelist and expert from last more than 20 years with regards to Tally and implementations. He is director with Imtech Business Solutions, and he also provides consultancy and advice in implementation, Tally, and solutioning for MSMEs. He is also an active member with JCF, Giant Chartered Account Federation, and BCAS, Bombay Chartered Accountant Society. So, Puneet sir, happy to have you, and also looking forward to your thoughts about how tech can be leveraged subsequently when the council updates impacts the entire economy. But before that, before we directly commence, I would really request and invite Praveen sir to take over the forum and share key takeaways about latest meeting updates that just commenced and got executed. So, Praveen sir, over to you.
Thank you, Janak, for giving me the wonderful opportunity here with the Tally.
Sir,
And
audio is slightly on the lower end.
oh,
You
please wait.
want to consider changing speaker or something?
By the time provinces comes up, thank you very much, and I wish all the participants today a happy Teachers' Day and
Yeah, happy
happy
Teachers' Day
learning
to you.
for next 1 hour.
We learn a lot from each other. Happy Teachers' Day to everyone, including Puneet sir, Praveen sir. Praveen sir, please.
And once again, thanks to the Janak Fund Tally Solution for giving me the opportunity. Without taking any much time, we will proceed for the latest 56th GST Council meeting update, which will be a significant changes in the tax rates across various goods or services, and it will boost the economy, it will increase the consumption in order to compensate the tariff going on in the globally economy. So the changes which the FM proposed in the 56th GST Council meeting effective from which will be effective from 22nd of September 2025. So it is more most important that the whatever changes decided in the GST Council meeting is to be applicable with effect from 22nd of September 2025 related to the goods and services, but only related to the like Zarda, the unmanufactured tobacco, BD, cigarettes, etc. So these will be effective only after discharging their loan amount or to compensate the state. So after this scenario, the new GST rate applicable with these kind of the goods. Over to this, any threshold for registration increases? No, there is no threshold for the registration increases, but it's a very welcome step by the FM that you will get within a 3 working days. Registration will be granted by the GST portal. It's a very welcome step, but there is a condition behind which will be notified in the future. So one by one, we will proceed that any changes in the GST. So implementation timeline is that 22nd of September 2025 and the later date for the new rate for the cigarette, chewing tobacco, Jarda, unmanufactured tobacco, BD, which will be implemented after discharging their compensation cess liability. Only after discharging the compensation liability, then this timelining or any changes in these goods will be applicable at a future date. So there is no change. Rate notification and documentation which will be notified before 22nd of September 2025. It means before or on before 22nd of September, the rate will be notified by the CBIC by way of a notification. So we have to further read which type of HSN code, what are the new rate will be coming and which will be decided at a later date. The time of supply is again the most important thing here. Which point of supply the tax shall be levied? So what does it means? It means there are two scenario: pre-change supply, post-change invoice. One of the cases that pre-change supply. Pre-change supply means if the goods or services supplied before the changing of the rate, which will be 22nd of September 2025, but I have raised the invoice after 22nd of September 2025. then the time of supply depends upon the payment timing, which means the payment date or the invoice date, whichever is earlier, is my time of supply, which means the new rate will be effective in these scenario. The second case is that I have supplied the goods and services before the changes in the rate, but payment is also being received before the 22nd of September also, but the invoice is raised after 22nd of September 2025. Then the time of supply is shall be the date of receipt of payment only, which is the old rate. So we have to check in each and every transaction case, because this is the transition phase from the old rates to the new rate, and we have to cautious enough that what will be my the time of supply. The time of supply is a crucial thing in the future. I can say you have to take in a very serious manner. For the advances received but the supply has not been completed, then the GST rate again to be determined as per the provision of section 14, which means the advance received or the supply has been done, whichever is earlier is the point of taxation in my case. So any question you can type in the chat box, then the Janak will proceed for any question related to this and I will answer in a straight manner. Without taking any much time, the input tax credit implication. Your query can be, what will be the role of the input tax credit on which the stowing stock lying in my credit ledger? So it means whatever you have paid the tax amount to your supplier and the credit is reflecting in my e-credit ledger, and on the basis of section 16 I have satisfied all the condition of section 16, then this credit will be utilized in a future date or in the case of a taxable output scenario. But in the case of a exempted supply, for example, there is a GST rate of a 12%. Now the new rate is not defined, but it is exempted from the GST. Then in that case, you have to reverse the credit because the ITC will not be available in the case where there is exempted supply of the goods or services. So basically two scenario. If your rate is down from 28 to 18%, then ITC will be utilized in case of a supply at a future date. There is no cost, there is no reversal. But in the case of an exempted supply of the goods or services, which means there is an existing rate of a 5 or 12%, but the new rate will be the nil rate, or you can say the exempted. For example, there is some medicine which the FM says these are life-saving drugs. So I've exempted these cases from the GST because the GST has been levied. We have to pass on the credit to the consumer so that it will be cheaper in the future also. So in that case, whatever credit you have lying in your credit ledger and there is a exempted output of the goods or services, in that case, all the ITC, you have to reverse it at a future date. IGST on import, there is not any change because IGST on import good will flow the GST rate as per the notification in the future, except where IGST rate has been specifically been exempted. What about the existing stock? So GST has been levied on the supply. So goods supplied on or after the revised rate take effect will attract the new GST rate regardless of when the stock has been acquired or not. And what about the e-way bills and the transition of the goods? For example, I have transit the goods and the e-way bill has been issued before the 22nd of September. For example, on the 21st of September, I have raised the invoice and supplied the goods and raised the e-invoice and transfer such goods. So there is a transshipment on the date of the 22nd of September. Is there any rate? New rate will be effective? No. If you have raised the e-way bill, then the old rate will be effective. For example, no mandatory cancellation of the e-way bill is required. So e-way bill for the goods in transit, when the new rate take effect, don't require any cancellation, and fresh registration is not required because this is a valid document on the date of the 21st of September 2025. Original validity continues till its expiry, so e-way bill currently in transit remain valid as per the original validity period depending upon the kilometer, 200 kilometer, 400 kilometer, 600 kilometer. So it will be valid enough. Not many such scenario. Yes, we will discuss one by one and some of the goods or services where the GST has been totally being exempted or where there is a rate which is at a higher rate. Now with effect from 22nd of September, the rate will be cheaper or lower than the existing rate. And one of the cases is the dairy and the plant-based product where there is a UHT, for example, any related to the ultra high temperature based milk which is has been exempted to provide the same tax treatment as any other dairy milk product which are already GST free. So there is a nil rated of the goods and services, and where the ultra high temperature product milk is there, it is totally being exempted. So there is a parallel GST rate will be effective. If there is no rate, then there is no GST. Plant-based activity. So there is a plant-based milk drink, or you can say the soya milk drink, have been reduced to the 5% GST from the previous rate of the 18 or 12%. There are some changes also in the case of non-alcoholic beverages. So 40% rate on the non-alcoholic beverages. The principle behind this is that it will be parallel or at the same rate to avoid the misclassification issues or any dispute. Carbonated fruit beverages, the rate increased to maintain the rationalization of the tax level after ending the compensation cess levy. What does it mean? Compensation cess has been removed, is being discarded. In the case of a sin goods, in the case of a luxury goods, in the case of a luxury car, in the case of a aerative water, in the case of any other sin goods, the compensation has been removed and the 48% rate of the GST is being levied without any compensation cess. Food product and the bread. All the Indian bread, you can say the parotha, paratha, Indian bread, or any other bread is to be in the parallel on the same line basis. So all Indian bread, by whatever name called, have been exempted. It's a very welcome step because in some cases, pizza bread is taxable, roti is taxable, paratha is taxable, pre-packaged paratha is taxable. So now all the Indian bread, any of their variety is totally being exempted. Welcome step by the FM. Food preparation, not elsewhere specified, will attract the 5% GST rate. We have to check the notification at a future date. Paneer or any other pre-packaged item is totally being exempted to promote the Indian cottage cheese lining industry, mostly produced in the small scale sectors. Honey. These are the basically which means there any necessity item, totally necessity item totally being, you can say the household item are totally being exempted from tax or at a very lower rate than the previous existing rate. So natural versus artificial honey. Earlier, artificial honey or the natural honey, now the GST is being reduced and the same treatment to be followed in the future. So 12% is being reduced to 5% on the sprinkler, irrigation system, harvesting machinery, and other agriculture equipment, so that it would be benefit to the farmer line or the domestic manufacturing support will be there and it will increase to boost the economy. Natural and artificial honey is totally being exempted from tax. Healthcare sector. So we have checked the household sector. Now moving to the healthcare or the medical devices sector. The medicine or any other item related to the drugs are prescribed at a concession rate of a 5% GST rate, except where specified it is a nil rated. For example, in some of the cases like cancer drugs or any other drugs, which is a life-saving drug, is to be treated as a nil rated in the future. Medical devices also 5% GST would be levied on all the medical devices, instrument, apparatus for the medical, surgical, dental, veterinary uses, except where specifically being exempted or unless where specifically being treated as a nil rated. This measures is to lower the healthcare cost prevailing in the industry. It will benefit to the patient, it will benefit to the particular poor in the industry, so that in each and every household, healthcare sector is being put up. While creating deeper inverted duty structure, refund is also being given to these sector unless their output is exempted from GST. Automotive sector, very important nowadays. If you are purchasing car of, you can say, of a 1500 cc, or you can say where length up to 4000 mm, so there is a higher GST rate. Now from the 28% to the 18%. It's a very welcome step. So in the case of a small car, either the petrol, LPG or the CNG car, which is up to 1200 cc, and where the diesel car up to 1500 cc, both up to 4000 mm length is there. So there is a 28% GST. From the 28% GST to the 80% GST would be levy in the new GST regime. And in the case of a large car, where GST rate, you can say the GST and compensation is being levied. So in that case, is flat 40% would be the benefit. So overall, 5 to 10% or 12% is the basically the rates benefit to this industry, and it will boost the economy in the future. So mid size of the large car, where cubic capacity in exceeding than the 1500 cc, or where length is increased than 4000 mm, plus the utility vehicle with the specific dimension, rate would be 40% and the compensation cess would be discarded. And in the case of a commercial vehicle, for example, the ambulances, the GTA, the trucks, the buses, the three-wheeler, the small tempo, the Tata 407 also, where the GST rate, existing rate is 28%, now the GST rate would be 18%. Basically, total automotive sector is there is a overall. Now, also benefit to these two-wheeler industry also, where there is a 350 cc cubic capacity motorcycle is there. 350 cc or less than 350 cc, there is a GST rate from 28% to the 18%, and where there is a more than 350 cc motorbike is there, so GST rate would be 40%. Avoid and discarded all the compensation cess, which is the 28% plus the plus from the 18 to 22% is the compensation cess which we levied right now, but in the future with effect from 22nd of September, 40% GST rate is the flat GST rate. So moreover, in the case of bicycle and their parts also, 5% GST would be levied. So total automotive sector in such a scenario, there is a benefit of 30,000, 40,000 to 10 lakh of rupees is the major benefit given to the Mercedes type of the car also. Special rate structure. The 40% is a special rate. So right now there are four rates: 5, 12, 18 and 28. In the future, there is a free rate only: 5, 18 and 40. Compensation is also being discarded. So 40% is a special rate applies to the selected goods, which will be the sin good, or you can say the luxury item most previously attracted the compensation cess plus the rate of the GST. Now the compensation cess is merged into the 40% bracket criteria. So previous structure here is 28% plus 17 to 20%, which is the figure approximately coming up to the 50%. Now the new structure rate is the 40% with no compensation cess. So there is a win-win situation. There is a benefit of approximately 10%, which means if there is a 20 lakh of a ex-showroom price car, there is a benefit of straightly 2 lakh of rupees. Basically, the benefit. Textile industry, another important. The raw cotton taxation, the chemical component like the dyes, plastic, metal, or you can say the technical textile, or you can say the ready-made garment, where there is up to 1000 rupees of the amount, there is a GST rate as of now 5%. Above 1000 amount, there is a GST rate of a 12%. Now, this 1000 bracket criteria threshold limit increased to 2500. Again, there is a benefit given to the apparel industry where the amount is more than 2500, then the GST rate would be 12%, and the amount is up to 2500 of rupees, then the GST rate is a 5%. Personal care and the household item. So daily use cosmetic item, face powder, shampoo, soap is being reduced to simplify the tax structure. 5% rate as of now, from the 12% to 5%. Luxury brand can also benefit with this change. Any of the brand, if there is a daily use cosmetic, then the GST rate would be 5% from the 12%. Toilet soap bar also the 5% to benefit to the middle class and the poor section. Dental hygiene also, like the toothpaste, toothbrush, dental floss, also being levied at a rate of a 5% from the 12% or the 18%. Totally structure being changed. Coal rate merger. There is a rate of, if there is a ton basis, there is a compensation cess as of right now is a rupees 400 plus ton per ton. It means per ton basis, there is a rupees 400 is the compensation tax as of now. But it will be merged into the 40% tax bracket area, again benefit to the coal sectors. And in the case of a renewable energy, solar sector also, rate being reduced from the 12% to 5% to promote the renewable energy and to promote the solar industry in the future. Service sector, transportation sector, again, there is a passenger transport, 5% rate will be there with no ITC, or you can charge 18% with ITC. Economy class is to be treated as a 5%, but in the case of a business class, there is still rate of a 18%. Totally insurance being exempted, all the individual life insurance, health insurance, term insurance, ULIP insurance, endowment insurance, family plotter policy, or the fixed policy or the senior citizen policy now totally being exempted. But there is a question behind the insurance industry that what would be my benefit of the electronic trade ledger? So if the output is being exempted, then you have to reverse the credit of the electronic trade ledger to pass on the credit in the future to the consumer. Hospitality and wellness also. So hotel accommodation up to 7500, there would be GST rate of a 5%. Earlier was the 12%. Beauty and wellness also is to be distributed from 18% to the 5%. All other services except this is to be in the same bracket area of 18%. For example, chartered accountant services, commercial coaching services is in the bracket of the 18% GST. Entertainment and gaming is a totally luxury thing. So lottery, betting, gambling, casino, online gaming is to be fall under the 40% bracket area. And the sporting event like IPL is also at a bracket of a 40%, while any other item other than IPL type event, if it ticket price above 500, then there is a taxable. If the ticket price is up to 500, then it is totally exempted. So key takeaway is that 22nd of September is the date where new GST rate is being effective. So it will mark the effective date for the most of the changes. Second, you have to follow the section 14 condition, the time of the supply, goods supplied before the new rate changes, invoice issue after the new rate changes, or the payment is being received before the new rate changes, or the payment is being received after the new rate changes. So you have to check the section 14, the time of supply of the goods or services. Third, there is a totally simplified tax structure. You know very well here. All the rates of up to 18%, 12% of the goods is to be into the tax bracket of the 5%. And all the cases of a 28%, it will move to the 18%. And all the compensation has been removed. And sin good or the luxury good is to be fall within the bracket of a 40%. So balanced approach is there. Although there is a revenue loss to the government of India of approximately of a 93,000 crores, but approximately 43 or 45,000 crore it will be increase in the revenue of a sin goods. So basically roughly 48 to 50,000 crores of rupees is still the loss to the government of India, which will be seen in the future, how they will compensate in the future. But totally benefit to the industry, benefit to the consumer, benefit to the overall economy so that it will not be impacted by the US tariff or any global war concerns. So this is my number and over to the Janak. Any questions related to the participant, which I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Praveen sir, for giving such a brief and crisp summary of the entire Q&A. Just one addition from my end. In fact, I was also reading about this GST reforms on Twitter, etc. And one very interesting nugget, one of the Twitter handles, I'm not able to recollect the name. They shared while there might be net impact in the short term, over the long run, with more consolidation, consumption, and formalization, the revenues tend to catch up as far as the GST collections are. So this was something which he showed in 1970 something. Income taxes were very high, but now the entire tax bucket is widened and hence the collections go up. So this is one perspective I very just couple of hours ago I built. So I thought I'll share with everybody. Now coming to the Q&A. So there are few Q&A in the chats and the Q&A also. Would request participants to write in the Q&A section. We'll take up both nonetheless. So the first question is from S. Savant, who is asking on which stock ITC reversal is required, on the balance good with us as on 22nd or the whole stock which was purchased during the financial year. So basically, what is the treatment of the existing stock in case there is a rate change, Praveen sir?
See, with effect from 22nd of September, you have to levy the new GST rate only in the case of your supply of the goods and services. And what about the question related to the stock credit of the stock lying in the electronic credit ledger? The question is very, very important. If the GST rate is there, then there is no reversal required. If the GST rate is exempted, then you have to reverse all the credit because it will not pass the benefit to you. It will not be given refunded to you.
Understood. Another question by one of the anonymous attendees who said, "What about dosas and idlis? I think it affects a
It's
lot
totally
many
being
people."
exempt. Food item, totally exempt.
Okay, so no special provisions. And what about coal, which attracts cess as well?
No, no cess. Compensation cess totally removed.
Okay, now taking up the Q&A from the
Janak,
chat.
Janak,
Yeah,
I want to add on that popcorn workings. I'm curious to know whether popcorn with caramel, without caramel, the memes which had come out a few months back, does that still continue or does that
So
has
basically,
those been
there was a
levied at similar
humor.
rate?
There was a humor that parantha, pre-packaged parantha, roti, breads. So it will be in the same tax bracket, totally being exempted from tax. There is no classification of any of the popcorn, any this popcorn, or any of the ready-made item, all totally being exempted.
in one of the popular movies, they said, no, paneer to ab sonar ki dukaan mein hi milega. At least that doesn't seem to be happening immediately.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
so, can you, so
It now simplify the total structure of the GST rates.
understood. So, Darshil is asking, can you repeat the rate for the textile industry?
So textile industry, in the case of you can say the ready-made garments. So earlier is that there is a threshold limit of 1,000 rupees. Your blazer, Janak, if the amount is 1,200 as of now, the GST rate would be 12%. Now, if you are purchasing now, after 22nd of September, because the threshold limit increased from 1,000 to 2,500, then the GST rate would be not 12%, it would be 5%. So threshold limit is being increased.
So, and what about the cess balance? How do we utilize it? One of the participants has
You have
asked.
to reverse the cess balance. No benefit as of now. In the future will be which will be see in the future how these circular and clarification will come. Okay, how to use this cess balance.
Yeah. One slightly longer question, but I think it will help a lot. If we get the bill, a common man will come to know what is the GST percentage, 5, 18, or 40. However, in case of MRP, how a man will come to know what is the GST
Basically,
rate reduced?
I've understood the question. In the year of 2017, the same question was there because the VAT is being converted into the GST. The VAT, where VAT rate is 5%, then the GST rate is 12%. If the VAT is 12% or the 15%, in some of the state, GST rate would be 18%. So the retailer industry or the manufacturing industry uh, can change, or we have to change the RSP, the retail sale price sticker, the figures. We have to change it so that the benefit of 18% to 5% or the benefit of 28% to 18% will pass to the buyer. So we have to pass the credit to the buyer, which will be the motive of the government of India. Which will be the motive of the government of India. You have to pass the credit to the consumer, to the buyer, so that he can contribute to the economy by saving his or her amount. Otherwise, anti-profiteering clause would be levied. So in the future, more and more cases will come in the case of anti-profiteering.
So, Praveen sir, what does this mean? So, as a CA, if I have clients, what does it mean? What should I educate them with awareness,
We have to
etc.?
educate them. We have to educate each and every scenario through by way of a letter, by way of policies, by way of how to tag your product in a such a way so that the credit must pass on to your customer.
One very interesting nugget that I
It's
got
a
to know
very
is that
basically more technical and more corporate execution training decision is required to the corporate. It's a very, very huge reform in the future.
got it. Basically, ignorance of law cannot be an
Yes, yes,
excuse to say to break the law.
yes, yes.
Very interesting nugget. So but there are a lot of questions that are coming in. So couple of requests to the participants. Please use the Q&A tab. Chats become slightly difficult to track, and we might not be able to take all the questions in constraint of the time. While we try to take as many Q&A as possible. Just in case if you are not able to take your Q&A or any insight, you can join the group in which Praveen sir, myself, and we'll add Puneet sir also are part of the forum. So we have CA community of more than 30,000, 29, 30,000 CAs across the country that we are building. So the link is being kept in the chat. Rahul, my colleague, will help you with the link. So Rahul, please share the link. So a lot of follow-up discussions and collaborations can be fostered on that community. We'll encourage you to be part of the forum. In fact, the recording will be also shared. So that is something I thought it is apt to highlight with the audience. One question, Praveen sir, in our Q&A, what is the definition of all the credit in relation to ITC reversal? Any duration of purchases included, ITC on the leftover stock, etc., which
No
is already
such,
sold too
no such
early.
clarification. All your ITC is your ITC. All your ITC in your credit ledger is your ITC only. Unless, again I'm repeating, unless your output is exempted from tax. Your ITC, which will be utilized in the future as and when your output is being done.
Yeah. One query from Mukesh Kumar ji. Can you clarify about restaurant services with food at 5% without ITC?
There is a food at 5% only. Food serving at a restaurant is to be levied at a 5% without ITC. There is no change.
Okay. And after 22nd, what will be the rate of aerated drinks? SAS. SAS will be removed and 40% tax, right?
Yes. Cess has been removed and the GST rate would be 40% flat.
Any inputs on footwear tax?
Footwear? Yes. Apparel and footwear. There is a threshold limit of 1,000, which will be increased from 1,000 to 2,500.
Okay. Praveen sir, couple of requests from Abhishek and Rakesh on the insurance sector. Before 20 seconds, should we reverse the inputs? And can we expect further increase in insurance premiums by the company for the existing and new policies?
Actually, this is totally not a single line of decision, not a single line of answer is there. Government is also working on this because earlier there is a GST rate of 18%. Now, in the future, totally exempted. So, what will be the use of the credit ledger lying in the credit ledger, which will be a bigger question mark to the government of India, and they will be in a process to clarify in the future before 22nd of September. Let's see.
Okay. One question by Darshil. GST rate on yarn purchase, does inverted duty structure still exist? Can
Yes,
we
still
claim
exists.
refund in textile?
Yes, can.
Okay. So I think the Q&A is exhausted. We'll take the chats if there are any Q&As. In the meanwhile, Praveen sir, you also please feel free to browse the chat if there is anything that you would like to bring up.
Sure, you can proceed. What is the GST rate of a hotel accommodation less than 7,500? It's a 5%. What is the tax rate on textile job worker? It's a 5%. Sale price of 2,500 means the transaction value. Aerated drinks I have discussed. What happened to the input tax credit? 5% to 0%. We have to reverse it if there is a exempted supply of the goods or services. Hi, I need to know about the travel industry. GST change was still the same. There is a change in the air tickets, which I have discussed. 5% is the normal economy class GST rate, and 80% is the uh, business class air tickets. No change in the travel industry. Yarn purchase I have discussed. GST input tax credit for vehicle purchase for renting of motor vehicle for passenger. Yes, you can take the benefit of this GST credit if you are using 18% GST as your output tax supply. If there is a 5% of output tax supply, then there is no ITC in the future. Footwear I have discussed. Fly ash brick. I have to check with the fly ash brick whether any HSN code is related to the. Although there is a change in this GST rate, GST on paper, eraser, pencil also being down from the previous of the GST rate. Discuss. Cess I've discussed. Insurance I've discussed. Textile I've discussed. Paper and board. There is a reduction in the GST rate. Inland water transportation of vessel. There is a reduction in the GST rate. Yes, all okay.
Sir, just one query while you're discussing with this. Paper, when used as a stationary item versus packaging, is it treated differently? Are there any taxations different or is it the same?
It can be different,
So,
not depending upon,
so basically there is one question on packaging, insulation and all. What will be the treatment in that case?
because they have removed the 12% GST rate. Earlier was in some of the paper, there is a GST rate as of now is the 12%. So 12% is being removed. So basically, if the 12% is being removed, then now the GST rate would be after 22nd September is the 5% only. So there is a reduction in such rate.
What about gold, silver, hair
No
transplant,
change.
dermatology, plastic surgeries?
No change.
So Srinivas ji is asking, I don't know the context. Srinivas, if you want to put the whole question, sale price is
Transaction value.
2,500. Means
Transaction
MRP
value.
or transaction?
Transaction value.
Transaction. Okay. We'll come back to the Q&A. Hair transplant is taken, gold, silver is taken. I'm paying health policy through my company that I
Hmm.
work. Is GST applicable?
No.
Okay. So I think more or less all the questions we have answered. Uh, there are no more questions that I can see. Just will take couple of minutes to browse through. Hotel rate, and I think we have answered more or less yes. So irrespective, most of the questions are taken, and thank you forum. Thank you all the members for showing so much interest in the topic. No doubt, it is one of the change which impacts not only the professional community but also the business community, but also the professional community. And one of the things that me working with Tally that I've realized over the years is while a lot of things that may come as compliance, as economic reform, one thing always remains constant is the leverage of technology to scale up and fasten up your business. And that's where a lot of role Tally as a company plays in the MSME sector with GST compliances, managing the business inventory, etc. And to have more insights and perspectives since it affects a larger economy as a whole, we have CA Puneet Mehta, who is our very own Tally evangelist. And Puneet sir, please feel free to share your perspectives and add your experience to the discussion, how we can enable ourselves, businesses with Tally and technology. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Janak. At the outset, let me thank Tally Solutions for this opportunity of discussing the latest impact of the 56th GST Council meeting on the common man. That's a common businessman, how they are going to work around this particular piece of text legislation or piece of notification that has come, and how they can not only navigate the changes but take advantages of those changes. Why take advantages of those changes? Because they are the system, as Praveen sir rightly mentioned, okay, these are transition phase. So where if you do not have your systems in place, you will not be able to take benefit of your input credits. If you are late, if you are not having your compliance in place, you will be still charging the old rate of tax, which again your customers are going to severely ask you a question that how it is to be, why are you still giving us the old rate, or whatever the questions are. So these questions are related to the business users, and business users are using Tally. And on that, I would like to share how Tally can help to navigate these changes. So if you allow me to share the screen, Janak, if you could just check. Yeah, I'm allowed.
Sir, you're the co-host. I think you'll be able to share.
Yeah. So is the Tally screen visible, Janak?
Not yet, sir, not yet. We are seeing has started screen sharing. Double click to enter full screen mode.
One second, I'll just stop the share.
Yeah.
Share it once. Okay.
It is visible, sir, now.
Okay. So the notification is out day before yesterday, and now we all are we've got umpteen number of questions. What would be my rate, new rate of tax? How they the second question after knowing that what would be my new rate of tax is how do I implement this new rate of tax in Tally? Okay, so that is the second question that most of us would have, and now let us explore that how Tally can be beneficial to navigate these changes. So friends, what we have to do, this is the gateway of Tally. This is a demo company that I have activated right now, right in front of you. We go to alter, and we go to maybe alter stock item, because that's the first thing that we want to do, that change in rate. So suppose we change the rate of copper tube. Okay, we are dealing in copper, and currently the rate is 18%. I'm not going with the notification what Praveen sir has said. I'm just going in a demo mode, that copper tube, now the new rate, suppose for example, has got changed to 5%, which it hasn't, but I'm just giving an example. That new rate is supposed to be 5%. So I make the changes out here, and the moment I make the changes, I get this important question: when is this effective? So today's date, or new date, or tomorrow's date, or 31st March last year compliance date, or what it is. So I put the date, of course, as Praveen Bhai already informed, that it is 29th September 25. So this is it, and this you can do it for single stock items on a go. Once you have done this, at the other option is this, that you can go and check more details and the GST history. So if you see GST HSN history, this is the new functionality that Tally has provided, that GST rate related details, sorry. So from 1st July, it was another rate, and from 2nd September, 22nd September, this is there. So here, the question is that GST rate details, specified details here. That means in this stock item, what is the rate which is option provided, and here you can go and check whether the rate which has been affected or not. So this we can do it for item by item. We can also do it for individual ledgers. So alter ledger. So here, if there is any ledger that we want to change the rate, that we can change the rate. Suppose this is GST applicability is not there, but we can put it applicable and provide the rate. Okay. So for ledger as well as stock items, this is the process that we can follow. So this is for one item. Now there is a possibility that your entire bouquet of item has got modified. The tax rate has got changed. And how do we do it for all the items together? So friends, for that, Tally has brought in a very simple system, is by pressing Alt G and put GST rate details, just rate setup, GST rate setup, and then you can get the option of accounting masters and inventory masters. Those of you who are still using the earlier releases before 3, they won't get this option of groups and ledger, accounting groups and ledger groups, because before that Tally was not allowing mass modification of ledgers. Okay, it was allowing the mass modification of GST rates for stock items, but not for the ledgers. Now it is providing that. So those of you who are there in the earlier version would request to come to the latest version. That would be a lot of beneficial to it. So we can go here. So here we can see that now we can see that in this primary stock group is there, and the GST rate applicable from it is there, and the rate HSN code or whatever it is there. So suppose we want to change for one item, two item, three item, or all the items together, control space. Okay, so this we can do it. Suppose we select for two items. Okay, so these three items I have selected, spacebar, and spacebar down arrow and spacebar, and then I provide update GST details. Okay, so these all are 18%, and I want to put it at 5%. So here the option is that for these items, these are selected as per company stock group. So there is a stock group, and in that stock group, whatever the stock group of these items are, in that stock groups, it is selected as 18%. So for that, we can modify that. No, I want to change out here in the item master itself, as I showcased in the earlier screen, for each item. Instead of each item, I want to specify for few of the items together, and I provide that specified details here, and then I provide, suppose, 5% as the rate, and the same question, when is the effective date? So I again select this particular thing of 22/9/2025. So that's it. So this showcases that now these are the items where GST rates of 5% and 18% are there, right? So this is how you can navigate, as I showcased, individual item changes. Then I also showcased the individual or multiple masters for stock items that you can do it. Friends, we can also do it for ledgers together. This I told, as I told, informed, this was not available earlier. Now this is available in the latest version after release 3, that you can check your ledger item GST rates, what they are, and here you can provide the same way spacebar, or selecting individually also you can go there and select that, enter. I would control enter. You can go to the individual items also, and then, or if you can just select individual spacebar and update GST details. So here you will see that you can change the HSN, you can change the rate or whatever it is. So this is how you can do it for multiple stock items, multiple masters together. Is there any question, Janak, here?
Yes, in fact, a couple of questions that came to me while we were just prepping up for this session. So one of the question is, many times, even if someone changes the rate in GST, the rate is not picked up in the invoice. What could be the reason and what is the treatment in such a case?
Okay, so we need to understand that what is the source of the rate at which it is there. So in this particular item, in this particular screen, if we do F12, okay, configuration, here we get one very good option, is that show source of GST details. Okay, so if we do this, show source of GST details, then Tally will give you that from where the stock GST rates, sorry, from where the GST rates have been picked up. Okay, so if you see Havel 6mm, it is defined in stock item, but Havel Life Plus 3 S310, it is defined in the company. For some, it is defined in the stock item. So from where the source is taking, that it has to be defined. Uh, Friends, I want to inform that in Tally, you can define the GST rate and the HSN rate at multiple places. Now, what are those multiple places? You can define it at the transaction level. You can define it, as we have seen, at the stock item level. You can define it at the group level. You can, that stock group level. You can also define it at the individual ledger level, that you do not provide the GST rate at the stock item level, but at the ledger level, that is the income, the supply ledger level, that you can define. Plus, you can also define it at the ledger group level. And the last but not the least, as mentioned here, at the company level, you can define it. So these are the places where we can define our GST rates. We need to understand how Tally behaves in that particular functionality, and based on our requirement, we can provide the details. The example that I showcased today is for the defined of those rate defined in the stock item. So if your configuration is maintained properly, you should be able to get the stock properly, and the rate should come automatically in the invoice.
Puritsa, one query in the chat. In what situation we need to put GST in ledgers?
So many times the items are defined at a particular rate, so say 5% or 12%, but they have been sold to an exporter, or they are exporting the goods. So in that scenario, while the item rate remains 5%, 12%, or 18%, so but since you have exported the goods, the GST rate is maybe the nil rate, or where the bond has been provided. So there the ledger level qualification comes into the place. Of course, when you are providing the services, at that time also you need to provide the GST rate at the ledger level. When you are booking in expenses which are not having stock item, and of course in those scenarios too, there is a possibility to provide it in the stock account ledger name level. Yeah.
Got it. So Puneet sir, basically there is a predefined hierarchy. Okay, group, company group and stock level and exception handling also. But can we change this to suit our needs? This business hierarchy.
Okay. Yes, you can change the hierarchy also in case you wish to have. So what happens is that normally now this again, if you are having the latest version of Tally, then only you will be able to handle it. Earlier in ERP9, when the GST was there from 2017 to 2020 and till release 2.1 or maybe release 3, what used to happen that Tally had predefined the hierarchy that it the way in which the GST rate would be taken. So I will just briefly discuss. So if you have the GST rate defined at the ledger level, transaction level, definitely it is a first priority. So we will not take transaction into account. So ledger level hierarchy. So first the ledger would be given the preference, then the stock item would be given the preference, then stock group, then account groups, and then at the company level. So this was the hierarchy that used to be followed up till the release 3 or release 4.1. I'm not sure up till what release, but after that, Tally brought in a good amount of changes. Is that now the users themselves can decide that what hierarchy of rates or the GST architecture they want to follow. That is, users themselves can define that if we want to first define the GST rate at the stock item level, then the first item level would be taken, then the ledger level would be given preference. So that's slightly complex things that I want to share it with the users. But before that, since it's slightly complex, I would like to know whether the users would want to know or not. So in the chat box, not in the Q&A, please write, yes, I want to know about this, how to change the hierarchy or how to modify these things. So in the chat box, can I get some responses that yes, I want to change, I want to know how to change it. I want to know the hierarchy. Friends, sorry, I'm asking you to do some homework, but that's what the price of interaction is. Let's make it interactive. Chat is there. Yes, Akruti, Amit Bhai, only 2 out of 85.
So
100.
what I know about online engagements is ideally it should be at one place. Okay. So what I know about online engagements is people generally tend to, so whatever response we get, the 10x is the actual reality of it. So we have got 4 5. So I can at least tell you that 40 50 people want to know about it.
Lot many people would want to know about it. I'm just checking whether they have kept the things on an automated mode, as one of my friend has put that AI into the this thing, is asking his AI assistant to attend it, or they are attending it personally. That's what I wanted to know. Okay, so friends, when we want to know that hierarchy, what is the hierarchy? We have to go to F11. We have to go to this enable GST rate and other details. I'm sorry, not in this. GST rate and other details, yes. More details. And in this more details, we do one more time is show more. And here we get additional configuration. Additional configuration is the source of the working. So source of GST rate details, that whether you would like to prefer ledger as the main item or you would like to put stock item as the main preference. So here you can provide ledger, and for the same goes for HSN also. So here again, what you would like to have for HSN, because many times we want the rate as per ledger but the HSN as per the stock items. So Tally has provided this beautiful configuration in the more details of the show more of F11 functionality of GST rate details. Many of us are not aware, since it's slightly complex to understand this or to digest this thing. Tally, it is not coming out so often or so simply as other functionality of Tally is. But I'm sure with these. There are other aspects also available in this particular additional configuration. I'll not discuss because today is not the date for that. But this is something really, really wonderful that you would like to change the stock item hierarchy or the GST and the HSN hierarchy. So friends, if you have liked it, please say good or very good for Tally company to provide this particular functionality of adding or changing the hierarchy for the users for themselves to decide. So please provide that information in chat as well, or if you have any query, please proceed on that.
Yeah, Purit sir, so there is so much of engagement that is happening, and in interest of time, since the first thing that we decided was to respect the time of the audience and cover as much as we can. So we'll take up very quickly couple of questions that are there. GST, so somebody, Prakash Bhai is asking, GST ledgers, CGST and SGST create separate or combined?
Separate, clear, separate, always
Okay.
create, because whenever we create ledgers, I will show you. Ideally, the ledgers for output as well as input should be separate. While Tally is not neutral on it, whether you want to create, but as far as CGST and SGST is concerned, this is the classification we ought to give. Otherwise, things would be difficult for you to classify. You can, and it's not a suggestion, you can create single ledger for CGST, single ledger for SGST for input and output. Not a great idea, but you can. But as far as CGST and SGST or UTGST or says, you need to provide it separately and you need to provide this classification of tax type.
One very specific question, and I'll tell you it is a question which will help a lot of users, is how to mention GST rate in stock item if advance payment received is before 22nd and supplies after 22nd of September. That is the rate change date. How would you treat such a scenario?
So, while it's a slightly complex question for me as well, and I will also try and answer. I'll not be sure that whether my answer is right, and I would request Praveen sir's help on that. But the liability, as Praveen sir mentioned, that the moment you have received the payment, your GST liability has got fructified, and whenever you are selling the goods, that time you have to provide the GST rate as per your liability. So friends, for that, while you can use the master's modification for mass modification for all the GST rate, but for such transaction where the advance has been received and now you are supplying the goods maybe after 10 days or 7 days after the GST rate, you can select, as I had mentioned in the transaction also, you can provide the GST rate. Let me showcase that how will I do it. So in the voucher, in this voucher F12, provide modify GST and HSN rate related details. This I need to keep it as yes, and when you have selected the item, although the rate would come as per the date whatever the configuration is, but you can still modify it manually, because for those exceptional transaction the advance was received and because of that you are changing the rate as per the old rate. So exceptions, some amount of manual work will have to be done. I hope I have answered the query.
Yeah, Praveen sir, if there's anything to add, please feel free to add over here in this scenario, if that is the desired treatment. And Puneet sir, one query here, I think it is very pertinent to what the discussion is going on. So if somebody wants to do a sales analysis of the items sold to different segments of the customers with respect to impact of GST rates, can we quantify, can we visually see it? How can we do it? I mean,
ताने इसको पीछे बंद करना, विजिबिलिटी नहीं आ रही है.
There is some chat. Okay. So what I understand is that you want to know the impact. So today I'm selling the goods at 12%, 5% or whatever it is. Tomorrow I'm again, the rates are going to change. So these changes, you need to understand how they are going to get impacted in your old, suppose your old sales are repeated, how they would be impacted. Right? Is that the question, Janak?
Correct. I've sold it to different set of customers, and how does it impact me
Wonderful.
as a business?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Janak, for asking that. Impact analysis is something that we ought to do on our own businesses. Why we ought to do? Because by then you are able to take proper decisions of your workings. Okay, that what would be there? Unfortunately, impact analysis as such completely is not available in Tally's functionality in the current working, but still we can work out some things better than nothing. So what we can do, we can go to sales register and we can select the period of our transaction. Suppose we are selecting our 3 or 4 year period. Okay, so this is the sales register which ought to many of us have seen it multiple times. In this sales register, there is one particular functionality that helps users to analyze their sales in different states, analyze the sales of sales group, different sales group, how they are working and all those things. So it's a particular report which helps the users to analyze their entire MIS. And in that, what one can also get is the update for the GST, impact of the GST. So what we can do is that we can press Alt E, export current. We go to configure. We say that we have to select this Excel. Okay, and along with Excel, this small button called show more, we have to activate. And here below sales register, what is the worksheet name? Sales register. Then there is an option called export for pivot table. So the moment we say export for pivot table, there are 7 more questions which is coming out here, which generally would be said as no. Since I have already done this as yes, so first time I need to opt to do it. So this has come. So here if you see, show stock item properties, show statutory details, that is the GST details, show dispatch details, how am I transporting my goods, show export and import details, which container I am using. This ought to be made as yes. Okay, you can provide this as yes and provide the file name 0509. I'm just giving any random file name and click on button called export. This might take a few minutes or depending on the transactions that we are having. Okay, so by the time this gets exported and I take the further working, is there any questions that I can answer?
So there are a few questions for, in fact, Praveen ji on the follow-up discussion we had earlier. So Praveen ji, any impact on the hybrid car?
There is no such nomenclature defined in the GST Council meeting. It defined as a CNG, petrol, diesel, not defined any hybrid related nomenclature. Let's see in the future.
Okay.
Also,
And
GST rate is totally 5% is only related to the electric vehicle as of now.
okay. So Vinod ji is asking if there is any benefit in respect to the hospital room rent of 5,000 and above?
No. Hospital or hotel?
Hospital.
No. No.
Okay. Now there's one scenario-based question by Balaji. If earlier there is a input of 12% and 28% before 22nd, what is the treatment will take ITC or reverse? So
I have repeated
we
earlier
have taken
also
that.
that if after 22nd of September there is a 28% to 18% or 18% to 12% or 12% to 5%, the new rate, then your credit is your credit. You can use your credit in the future supply of the goods or services. But for example, existing rate is 18% in the case of a medical, insurance, life insurance, ULIP, etc. Now the new rate will be 5%. Then in that case, after 22nd of September, it is called as the exempted supply. And if there is there is any exempted supply, then whatever IDC available in the books of account, you have to reverse it because the credit is not been available. You can't utilize such credit or refund is not allowed in such a scenario as of now.
Yeah, just a second.
So I'll just take it over again, Janak.
Yeah, Puneet ji, that would help a lot.
Yeah. So if you see, this is a wonderful report that has been exported from the default functionality of Tally. So here we have this voucher number, voucher type, party address, the important question of party group and the party state, from which state to which state we are selling most or whatever it is, and the important aspect of the item name, and along with item name, the GST HSN code, item HSN, the item rate of the GST. So friends, what we can do is that by creating a pivot table that
Excel is not visible, Puneet sir.
okay, I'm so sorry, I'll just stop. Now, yeah, so this is the screen,
Visible.
voucher number, voucher date. Now we are getting it, right? Hello.
Yeah, visible, Puneet sir.
Yeah. So here, if you see, this is the sales register that we got. We've exported it, and now here again in item name, along with the item category and the important aspect of item HSN and item rate. So this we are getting it, and based on this, we can then create scenario analysis and everything in Excel. If we wish that to this customer, if I'm selling it at this particular rate or whatever it is, so what would be my scenario and other things. So this we can take it up again in maybe some BI tool or in Excel. But for that, the earlier raw data in the history can come from Tally, as I have just experienced or showcased it, that by exporting it in Excel and making it as pivot table. So this would be of real help to the users who want to create an impact analysis for, or to the chartered accountants who want to create an impact analysis for their customers. And a beautiful report in dashboard can be created in Excel as well.
Yeah. So there are few queries. We still have around 10 minutes. We can take it up. So Praveen sir. Yeah. So what is the treatment of surrogacy have any impact on these changes? Vinodji is asking.
Can you please repeat?
Whether treatment of surrogacy has any impact on changes?
Whether any
Surrogacy, IVF, healthcare.
no such changes.
Okay. Question by CA Parag Gujjarji. Job work is taxed at currently 12%. Is it 18% after 22nd?
No.
Okay. One question, BPO and intermediaries is taxable as domestic services. So that is the question. Will they be taxed as domestic services after 22nd?
No, it will be treated as a export, zero rated supply.
One question by Paresh ji. Effective date link with invoice date or okay. So I'm not sure if this is a question related to Tally. Puneet sir, please feel free to take this up also in case. Effective date link with invoice date or doc entry date as material received after September billed before 22nd and recorded in October. How the old and new rate treatment will affect?
Sir, you have to check the section 14 with respect to that. If the supply has been done before 22nd September and the payment is also being received before 22nd September, then in that case, then old rate will be
Okay,
applicable.
one
Otherwise, new
question.
rate will be applicable.
Yeah. One question in the chat on ITC reversal. Are we saying that reversal is required when it is not utilized from GST portal against the now exempt supplies? if the credit is already availed and no ITC is remaining for claims against future liability, uh, we do not need to reverse the credit. Is it like that?
No, it means whatever supply in the future after 22nd of September, it will be treated as a exempted supply. And if there is wholly exempted supply in the future after 22nd of September, then whatever ITC you have accumulated in your books is of no use, is of no use to the government. Even refund is not allowed in such a scenario as of now, but insurance industry is pushing that please give the benefit of this electronic credit ledger lying in my books if my insurance premium is exempted from GST after 22nd of September.
Understood. That helps a lot. And in fact, thank you, Praveen sir and Puneet sir. I'm seeing the Q&A and the chat. We have been able to answer as many questions and engagements, and there have been quite a few questions that we have seen. In fact, one question has came up. Any changes in GST rates in accounting and architect work?
No.
No change. Okay. So I think we have done with all the Q&A. So I think we can conclude now, Praveen ji and Puneet ji. So once again, on behalf of Team Tally and CA community by Tally, Praveen ji and Puneet ji, thank you for attending this session. Praveen sir and Puneet sir, please take my vote of thanks also on behalf of Tally for agreeing to do this with
Thank
us.
you.
All the experience, all the knowledge is most welcome and really helpful in building and making the community strong. Having said that, there might be certain follow-up questions that may come. Okay, one question I think is getting repeated on salon service. Anything on salon service? How many slabs? I think there are two slabs. We can take up last
The
question and
rate will
close.
be 5%, sir.
Salon will be
5%.
5%. Okay, chalo. I think now we can finally conclude. So, as I mentioned, Praveen ji and Puneet ji, thank you so much for taking out time. Note to members, this is not the end of the engagement. We have a community and the WhatsApp group. If there are any subsequent questions and further engagements that you want, please join our group. Rahul has shared it in the link. You can tag Praveen sir. We'll add Puneet sir also. You can tag for tally related queries. We do round the year a lot of initiatives, Q&As, webinars, and knowledge sessions. So thank you everyone for attending this. The recording will be available soon. Yeah, Punitji, you would like to add something?
So many times, Janak, I get a query that how do I learn Tally quickly?
Okay.
And uh, some of them I do tell कि यार हमारी services ले लो, we will give you training and all those things. So that is one thing. But to my chartered accountant friends, I ask them that please go on Tally CA Connect portal. Okay, first is I've always advocated the use of using the CA group, but also now I'm suggesting to a lot of my chartered accountant friends is that go on the Tally CA Connect portal and go through the YouTube videos that has been loaded by such a fantastic team of evangelists. Matlab, if you see, there are cases of how to use Tally and BI, how to use Tally and AI, and how to use GST, how to use manufacturing, how to use payroll. There are multiple different types of videos that are there on the Tally CA Connect portal. So I would recommend on this teacher day that please ask all your friends as a matter of Guru Dakshina to Janak and to Tally team that please go and attend those CA Connect videos and also be part of the CA Connect WhatsApp group that has been floated around. So that would help a lot of chartered accountants to ensure upgrade their knowledge on a timely basis and would help them to make their things more effective.
Well said, Punit sir, and thank you for that. Happy Teachers Day. Last but not, and Praveen sir, any closing thoughts from your end, and we can close after that.
Yeah, it's been great to deliver a session mix up of the Tally and with the GST perspective. It's a basically knowledge and the brainstorming session And thank you for the tally, and thank you, Jana, for organizing such a wonderful. And we'll hope so in the future we will surely been deliver the knowledge gaining session in the future on a very regular basis. Thanks.
Thank you, Praveen sir. We'll conclude and stop the recording. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.